All right, guys. Dreadnought's back today with another review, and we're going to be looking at the Star Wars Black Series First Order Snowtrooper Officer from The Force Awakens. I'm super pumped to finally have my hands on these. It is a Toys R Us exclusive. You can see here it's got the pauldron that we're supposedly not getting in the other lines. It doesn't have the Toys R Us exclusive logo, and I'm not sure why some of these got them and some of them didn't, but it is missing here. But after camping the website out for a week when they initially sold out, I'm just glad to have my hands on these. They came up early one morning and I grabbed two quickly. So just taking a closer look at the box, you can see here this is the same thing we've seen before with the Force Awakens Wave 1. A nice artwork here at the bottom. On the side here, it is missing the number of the figure from the Wave. It does say Snowtrooper Officer. And then there's the back. If you want to pause it and read that bio. And then there's a look at the other side. Not much going on there. You can see we went to a white background here. And I've added some additional lighting. It's a little bit ironic that this is the first review with this setup, since it is a white figure. But we'll see how it does. So let's crack this thing open and take a look at it. And here's that Snowtrooper Officer out of the package and looking tight. I got to say, I am digging the new look. I know Abrams said early on in his production, when he was doing The Force Awakens, that he was going for a natural progression of the Snowtrooper, you know, where that technology had went. He was comparing them to Apple. And I think it does that. I think it slam dunks it, actually. But I think it also kind of takes on that McQuarrie look as well. So I'm just liking it overall. I think it has some very nice clean lines to it. You know, and I just think the sculpt looks good. You know, the color of the pauldron pops. You know, I really have nothing negative to say about the figure overall so far. I do have a few nitpicks, and that's all they are, and I'll get to those a little later. But let's take a closer look at the sculpt and the paint. And as we take a closer look at this head sculpt, I got to say I'm liking it overall. Some nice detail in here. I love this sculpting around the helmet. Nice paint apps with that silver. Some black lines in here look real clean. There's this visor. If I had to nitpick, there's a little bit of paint right over the edge of that visor there. Probably take an X-Acto knife and scrape that off. I know I've heard a lot of theories on how can they see through that little slit, but honestly, and I'll just throw up my theory. My fan theory is he has like a heads-up display like Iron Man, and this is just a fail-safe if he loses power to his helmet, and he just has to see out of it. You know, keeps his eyes protected from blast otherwise. You know, but that's just my theory. Nice detail here on the back side of the helmet. Nice clean line, black line through here. Looks good. And then looking down through the back of the figure, you can see the peg hole for the backpack. Nice sculpted wrinkles in here and crease through here. The belt back here, some nice ribbing, nice black paint apps. And then through the skirt piece, you can see some nice detail, nice sculpting through there. It's very good. I like it. And then here on the front, you can see the insignia here, and I don't know if that's a rank or what. I guess we'll see when we see the movie. You know, it's got some buttons in here, nice gray and silver paint apps and some black in there. And I like this whole piece. It's sculpted in. And then the pauldron has a great look to it. Has an aged look to that color, where there's some little black shading on it. And the black around here and the sculpting all looks good. I know people have removed this, and I didn't want to try and pop the head off because unlike Marvel Legends, they're a little tight. You really have to use some heat. But I know this can be removed and it can be put on a Stormtrooper. So I may try that later. But looking through the arms here, more nice detail. Love that texture sculpted in. Not a lot of paint here. A little black paint app there on the wrist. The hands look good. A lot of nice detail in those hands. As you can see there. Same thing on the other arm. You know, there's nice lines on the back side of the shoulders there. And then the other side of the belt is white. A little bit of black paint. Gets a little bit sloppy in there on both sides, but otherwise looks good. And then some nice textured detail sculpted in here on the pants. And I'm liking that. Looks really good. And then down through the boots, some more black line work. And I like how these boots are sculpted, and the knee pads just look good. I'm liking that overall. There's a look at the back. They didn't cheap out on the paint. Goes through in the back and sculpted all the way through the joints. As you can see there, just looks good. Great sculpt and great paint. And taking a closer look at the accessories, you can see here some nice detail in this blaster rifle. They did an excellent job with it. You can see it's a little bit longer, but the sculpting actually that went into it, you know, you can see here on the stock, the lines down through here, and then on the back, even some texture underneath here, you know, the little holes down through the barrel there on the end, you know, and these paint apps, man, the silver, the white, the black, just great job. They went the extra mile on this thing. You can see there's the back, looking good. Just great work overall. I'm liking it. And then looking at the backpack here, you can see they did a good job with it. It's nice and clean. You know, paint apps where they're needed. Some kind of insignia there, some black on it. I like how it's sculpted, just very clean. You know, it fits the figure. Like buttons in here, gray and black paint apps going all the way around. Nice clean lines. Same thing over here. Just looks good. And then it just easily pops on the figure. Real nice. Fits snug and looks good on him. So yeah, I'm liking that. And as we look at articulation, the head does not have a lot of movement. It can't really move back. It's hindered by the back side of the helmet. And then it can't really move forward because of the pauldron up under here. So that's about all you get. It does rotate somewhat, but it's hindered again by the pauldron. You can get more rotation that way than you can. And I think if this was removed, you actually probably could get good rotation. Can't tell if there's any pivot really in there. The arms move up only that far. They're hindered by this armor piece here. They do rotate around, as you can see here. And if I had to pick something apart here, this is where my biggest pet peeve is going to be with this figure. No double jointed elbows. It's a single joint, and it actually just doesn't even get 90 degrees. So that, to me, is the only downside to the articulation here. It does have wrist swivel and a hinge. You move up like that and move back like that. So that's nice. It has an ab crunch, but it can really only move forward that much because it's hindered by this plate in here. Can't really move back. It does have that pivot on the diaphragm that does allow it to do this, and then it does rotate on that diaphragm joint as well. No waist rotation. The legs are a little tricky. To get them to move, you kind of have to, if you want to kick them out, you kind of have to move this skirt piece around like so. But then once you do that, the legs actually kick out a decent amount. The skirt really hinders them from moving out very far, but there is upper leg rotation here, as you can see there. And it has actually double jointed knees. And you really have to get it up under the skirt to see that. And then it's got a rocker here at the bottom on the foot, and it does pivot, but only moves forward that much. It's hindered by this piece here, so not a lot of great articulation there. Honestly, I would have traded out the double jointed knees for double jointed elbows because I think the knees don't really do you much good, whereas the elbows would have been great for the blaster. And here's our Snowtrooper compared to a couple Stormtroopers. We've got our original Trilogy Black Series here on the left, and then we've got the new Force Awakens Stormtrooper here on the right. And you see this guy's coming up short in comparison to both of them. He's measuring in at a little under 6 inches tall there, but I do like the way they look all together. And here he is next to Kylo Ren, and I gotta say, this just pumps me up even more for this movie. After seeing the trailer last week, I just can't wait. I'm loving this figure. I think it is that natural progression that they were going for the look of the characters. The Stormtroopers, the Snowtroopers. I think they hit it right on the mark. I like how he looks here with Kylo Ren, and I just can't wait to start troop building this guy when the regular wave comes out. Get some without pauldrons to stand behind this guy. I think they're going to look great in my display. I got to rate him a buy overall. I think if you can get him at a fair price or get him while Toys R Us has him in stock, snatch him up. Also, if you can get an extra, probably great, especially if you want to use the pauldron somewhere else. I know they're going to release a Stormtrooper with a pauldron, but I think it's in a box set, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. But, you know, nice clean work on him, great sculpting. The only two things that if I just had to nitpick was, you know, the little paint app here on the helmet, and I'm sure that's just on mine and probably not something that's widely seen. And then the double jointed elbows. Hasbro, if you're watching, we need double jointed elbows back on these Star Wars Black figures. I don't know why the last ones that have been coming out, we've kind of lost that, but we definitely need those back. But overall, I love this figure. I think it looks great. So I can't recommend him enough. So thanks, guys, for watching. If you like what I'm putting out, hey, subscribe, please. We're still trying to build an audience. If you like my review today, please give me a big thumbs up. Toy Ark, my eBay, Twitter, Facebook, all those links will be in the description below. Check me out there on all those. And hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Down through the skirt piece, some nice sculpting.